Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. Again, my name is Chief Harold of the Boulder Police Department. On Monday, January 31st, a male sent out a threatening email with a link to an 800-page manifesto threatening violence. That information was sent to the UCLA Police Department. Upon learning about this email, the UCLA PD tracked him to Boulder, and they notified the Boulder Police Department on the evening of January 31st. The Boulder Police Department immediately began an investigation with our state and federal partners and quickly located the suspect in the city of Boulder. Upon reviewing parts of the manifesto, we identified thousands of references to violence, stating things such as killing, death, murder, shootings, bombs, schoolyard massacre in Boulder, and phrases like burn and attack Boulder outside of the university. The Boulder Regional SWAT was activated at 7:52 a.m. this morning and immediately set up a perimeter outside of the male's location. Officers then began evacuating nearby schools, residents, and businesses. Soon thereafter, we issued a shelter-in-place to 65 homes near the apartment complex. The investigation also revealed that the male had attempted to buy an unknown handgun at a store located in Jefferson County on November 2nd. He was denied this purchase. A search warrant was applied for, approved by a judge, and once obtained, officers attempted to make contact with the male. Crisis negotiations were able to reach him by phone. The crisis intervention team was on scene along with other policing agencies and community partners. After further conversation with negotiators at approximately 11:07 a.m., officers were able to safely take the male into custody. Detectives are currently in the process of searching the apartment in which he lived, and the community can expect to see extra policing presence in the area for the next several hours. The male has been identified as Matthew Christopher Harris, approximately 31 years of age. I can't state this more strongly. The importance of having collaboration at the federal, state, and local levels was critical to the swift resolution of this incident this morning. The incident today is yet another reminder of the ongoing need for strong relationships with our federal law enforcement partners to protect the Boulder community. Thank you for coming out today. I'll turn it over to District Attorney Michael Doherty.
Good afternoon, and thank you for being here. I'm Michael Doherty. I have the honor of serving as District Attorney for Boulder County, and I recognize that today was a scary day for the people of Boulder. And I want to acknowledge the outstanding work by the Boulder Police Department in responding to this threat as quickly as they did and bringing it to a safe and peaceful resolution. This happened very quickly, and it could not have been done without the outstanding women and men of the Boulder Police Department, as well as the strong partnerships they maintain with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the University of Colorado Police Department, the U.S. Attorney's Office, and the District Attorney's Office. The Boulder Police Department took these threats and what they read in that manifesto very seriously and acted immediately. As the chief indicated, they learned about that on January 31st. That's yesterday. We have a safe and peaceful resolution today. And I want to acknowledge that what they did and how they went about it is why there were no injuries and no casualties associated with this event. I couldn't agree more with what the chief said about the interagency partnerships that exist. It's because of those strong partnerships that at a time of crisis, we're able to respond with federal, state, and local partners to do our very best for the people of Boulder County. Having those partnerships in place and having lasting relationships allow us to do our very best for the people of Boulder and to ensure we're able to bring situations such as this one to a safe resolution. The individual is currently in custody on state charges. Given that the threats involved individuals who are out of state and victims who are out of state, we've been in close communication with our partners at the U.S. Attorney's Office since the very beginning. And I'm going to turn it over to Cole Finnegan, the U.S. Attorney for the state of Colorado at this point. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Cole Finnegan. I'm the United States Attorney for the District of Colorado. Today we have been in close communication through the day with the District Attorney, Michael Doherty, as he mentioned, with the Boulder Police Department, with the CU Police Department, with the FBI, and with the ATF. Federal investigative resources are being brought to bear on this matter, and the FBI is engaged closely in this matter, and we'll be briefing the ATF further later this afternoon. We also are reviewing all possible federal charges at this time. So since we have an ongoing investigation, I won't be able to say much more about it at this point. I do want to note, however, that we are sensitive in the United States Attorney's Office to all this community has endured, not only in the past year, but in the past month. And you have my full commitment and the full commitment of all the people in the United States Attorney's Office that we will remain engaged in this matter and stay in touch closely with the District Attorney and Boulder Police Department as we move forward. Thank you.
We have time for a few questions.
What is the connection of this man in custody to the city of Boulder or any of its institutions?
That's a great question. We're still looking at this. All of this investigation is preliminary, but we do believe that he had a connection here in Boulder, but we're just not sure of the magnitude of the relationships here at this time.
Was he affiliated with the university since he had been an instructor at UCLA?
Yeah, it's a fair question. We just don't know at this time.
Why was he denied the gun purchase in Jefferson County? What was the reason?
So let me stress, as I do anytime I talk to members of the media, that the defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty, and any charges are merely an allegation at this point. That's a good question. There's an ongoing investigation into matters that took place while he was in the state of California. But just to answer your question very directly, based on a protection order that was issued in the state of California, there was a national database that included a provision that he was not allowed to purchase or possess a firearm. Based on that, we believe at this point, and again it's early in the investigation, that was the basis for the denial when he attempted to purchase the firearm in early November that the chief referenced earlier.
Did you make any progress during the negotiations, and what are the state charges that you'll be facing?
So as to the state charges, it's still very much an active investigation, and I will highlight for you what the chief mentioned earlier, that the search of his apartment is still underway. So we'll be able to give you more information once the search is concluded and we get a little further into the investigation. And for your other question, I'll turn it back over to the chief.
Regarding the brief contact our crisis negotiators had with this subject, it was very brief, several brief conversations. I don't have the full context of what was discussed, but it was not adversarial to the best of my knowledge. And as you know, the end result was he did come out peacefully, and that's what we desired.
Why did it take him 3 hours?
The initial contact we made was just to get in the area and secure the area for anyone's safety. And we were waiting on a couple things as we worked to determine what possible charges we had until we actually made contact. So simply put, we wanted to get there, make sure we had good containment in the area, and then we worked forward there to make sure we safely made contact.
Have you police had any other contact with him in Boulder? I know there was a guy who was arrested at the library yesterday with a...
Yeah, we have had contact with this male suspect approximately in October. We're still reviewing our reports from that incident, but there was no criminal charges or anything criminal related at that time. Thank you.
Can you elaborate on these threats in terms of how he planned to carry them out? Was there any plan to travel to California? Can you guys elaborate on that at all? Because obviously he's in Colorado, but these threats are in California.
Another great question. Unfortunately, this is 800 pages we're going through. The level of violence that we saw in the manifesto was obviously so alarming. We have not made connections yet across states, and that's why we have federal partners looking at this as well. But I can tell you it was very violent and it was very disturbing.
Did it mention violence here in Boulder and Colorado and at the elementary school that was evacuated?
There was definitely references to Boulder in the manifesto and a university setting and a schoolyard setting. And I'm sorry I can't be more detailed than that, but obviously there's a lot to go over with this manifesto.
Were there any concerns that he had explosives on him?
I'm sorry, one more time?
Were there any concerns of him carrying explosives or having explosives in his apartment?
Well, I think anytime that we see this level of violence, I'm always concerned with explosives and any other devices that could cause harm to the community. So like Deputy Chief Redfern said before, we have to be so careful when we are trying to contain an area that explosives are always an option.
And well, thank you. There's a lot of time that we have for questions at this point because they have an investigative briefing they need to get to. So we will continue to share updates as we have them. We'll put them out online. We'll put them out in either in a press release or press conference form. But that's all we have time for today. So we really appreciate you taking the time.